Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the last 24 hours in the Ethereum ecosystem and going over the latest news in the cryptocurrency space as a whole. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today is the 3rd of December 2020. So there's a few big things to talk about today. There's a bit of stablecoin regulation going on, and a bit of more positive things on the stablecoin side as well. But before we jump into that, I wanted to give a quick market update, of course. Now we can see here at time of recording, ETH has actually over the last, I think, 3 hours or so, started to move up again. It's back above 600. It's at about $615. And it is still going up. So this is really positive to see. As I've been saying, right, every day now, I expected the uptrend to continue, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. I'm going to be interested to see what happens over the next few weeks as we approach, the holiday period. People are probably going to be home more, talking to family. Maybe they all buy because one member of the family is like really into crypto, right? And says, hey, you should buy some Bitcoin or buy some ETH, and because it's going up or whatever. It's funny. I actually had someone made a comment to me yesterday. It's like, oh, look, ETH's going up again. I'm like someone that's not in crypto, obviously. I'm like, yeah, it's going well. And like Litecoin as well. And I'm like, yeah, they usually go up together. And I kind of died a little inside when I said that, because it's like, why do they all go up together, right? It should be going up on its own. But, this is crypto, and unfortunately, the fundamentals don't matter as much as we want them to, right? When it comes to prices, you just need to look at the top 10 by market cap to see that in action. So, but is what it is. People are going to make money where they're going to make money, and, not much we can do. But I know where, I park my money, obviously, in ETH, as I have for years now. So, yeah, I'm very encouraged to see that going up there. Bitcoin's going up as well, right? If we pivot over to the Bitcoin chart here, it's back up above 19,000. It's at about 19.5 at time of recording. Anything over 19.5 is basically the last cycle's all-time high. So, people thought that 20K was the all-time high, but in general, it varied from exchange to exchange. The 20K price was literally like a touch for like maybe a few minutes, and then it dumped off that and never went back there. So you can consider anything above 19.5 kind of all-time high on Bitcoin. Will we see another retest here? Will we see another dump because, people are selling at all-time high? Who knows? We've already done it twice. And actually, the last cycle that Bitcoin went to all-time high again, when it was like 1100 was its last all-time high, it actually rejected it twice and fell a lot stronger than it did this time. The first time it fell like 30%. So if Bitcoin was to fall 30% from 20K, I think that's like 14K or something. So will we see that? I'm not sure. It doesn't seem like we will. We dumped down to 16K the other day and then straight back up, right? As there's just a lot of strength in the market right now. So very curious to see what happens when Bitcoin touches 20K again, as that's like the psychological level that people look at and they're like, oh, well, it's 20K, and maybe a good time to sell because everyone else is going to sell, and it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy, so to speak. DeFi, on the other hand, is doing well as well. As I mentioned yesterday, DeFi to me is going to follow ETH, right? If it's going up, DeFi is going to follow it. I think that is playing out nicely. Tokens like Wi-Fi got back over 30K. 30K is a pivotal thing for Wi-Fi, and that's just kind of like following ETH up as well. I do think though, if Bitcoin rages up, so if it like passes 20K and goes to like 25K or something, ETH and the DeFi tokens and all the other coins are just going to bleed into Bitcoin again. So they'll kind of be flat maybe against US dollars, but on the ratio charts they're just going to bleed. But as I've said, I think December is a big month for ETH and DeFi. So hopefully that kind of continues and we can see some continued growth there. All right, so today, Gitcoin Grants Round 8 starts, or yesterday I think it is for most people. So for those of you who aren't aware, Gitcoin Grants is a platform that you can actually donate to your favorite projects, and it'll get matched by a kind of matching funds. So this time around, there is $1 million worth of matching funds up for grabs. I think they've got 500K matching already, but they're trying to get to 1 million this round. And I think they're almost there from what I've been hearing, which is really, really cool. So yeah, all you have to do is go to gitcoin.co/grants. You can load this up here. You can see a nice banner up the top with all the sponsors here. It's really cool to see the exchanges in this, like Binance and Kraken, right? They're not actually typically Ethereum friendly exchanges. Kraken's typically a Bitcoin kind of friendly exchange, and Binance is, I guess, like, they have their own chain and they like do everything. So it's not like, they're ETH maxis or whatever. But cool to see those kind of entities sponsoring this round. And then we have, Balancer Labs here. We have Yearn here, like Return kind of entrance, Synthetics, of course, and the Ethereum Foundation, of course, as well. But each round, we've just been getting more and more donors here, which is really, really awesome to see. So kudos to those teams and those institutions for doing this. So yeah, if you scroll down here, you can basically see, all the grants. Like, for those of you listening, you won't see this, but basically there's different categories here. So there's an infrastructure category, a community category, a DApp category, and then a few like seasonal categories. The community category basically consists of, a lot of the Ethereum media, so to speak. So Bankless, the Daily Gwei, of course, ETH Hub. On that note, if you did want to support the Daily Gwei, this is the best way to do so. All you have to do is go to my Gitcoin grant on Gitcoin. You can just search it on the search bar, the Daily Gwei, you'll find it. And then you can go check that out there. And the way the matching round works is it's quadratically matched, which means that depending on how many people donate to a specific grant, the funds can be matched by up to 200 times. So if you donate one DAI, it becomes 200 DAI worth of matching. So it gives basically people much more of a voice and lets them donate to a lot more projects if they maybe only have $100 to give, and have that amplified a lot more. So very cool system, and it's very easy to do as well. You just have to go on here with your MetaMask. You can either do it on layer 1 or layer 2. They have a solution for layer 2 with ZK Swap, which is really cool as well. So yeah, and obviously community is what I'm a part of, and the grant, what my grant is a part of. But go check out all the other categories, especially infra and DApp. Like in the infra category, if we click here, the infrastructure category, and we wait for them to load. Here we go. There is a bunch of stuff in here that you kind of need to donate to, in my eyes. Like, this is the stuff that is not monetizable, but is critical, right? So you have stuff like Ben Edgington's annotated specification of Ethereum 2.0. That's critical work, right? We want people to be able to understand the ETH2 spec. We have like the Nimbus client here, Ethereum on ARM, TurboGeth, DApp node. There's a bunch more, I think. If we scroll across here at the top, we can see these are things that, yeah, as I said, very hard to monetize, so they need all the help that they can get, but very important infrastructure. So go check them out as well. And then finally at the top here, you have categories or carts that people have put together. So I've actually got one called Sassel's Cart of Love. It's got 42 different grants in here. So if you don't know what to pick, you can literally just add my collection to your cart, and then it'll automatically donate to all of those projects, and you can select how much you want to go to each of the projects. Or you can just scroll through the grants that are in this collection and add the ones that you want to donate to your cart as well. So you don't have to copy my cart or someone else's cart. You can just use it as kind of like a curation mechanism where you see, what I've kind of like put belief in and what I think is worth funding, and kind of like copy me like that. I haven't updated it yet for this round, so I'm probably going to add more to it here. But I've basically been a part of every Gitcoin round, tried to donate every time, and obviously I have my own grants there, like the ETH Hub one and the Daily Gwei. But I think every round people should be donating. I think, no matter what you kind of have, you should be donating it. And it can actually be favorable on your tax as well. Now, consult your tax professional for this. Don't listen to me on this. But from my reading, because it's a donation, you can actually claim it as a donation on your tax, and you get some favorable tax treatment. But it depends on your jurisdiction, wherever you are in the world. I'm in Australia, probably totally different tax laws to someone in Europe, for example. So definitely consult your tax provider before doing it as like a tax advantage thing. But even if you can't get a kind of tax discount or tax benefits from this, just donate anyway. Like, it's just, it makes you feel good. You're doing something great. You're giving back, especially if you made money in DeFi summer. it feels good to give back. So I can't encourage it enough. And you don't have to donate to the Daily Grail ETH Hub or anything like that. You can donate. You don't have to donate to anyone really. No one shames you into donating to anyone. You can donate to who you want to, and that's the best bit about it, I think. All right, gotta get rid of this. So yeah, there's a 1inch, the DEX aggregator. Everyone knows 1inch. I presume it basically aggregates across a bunch of decentralized exchanges and gives you the best price. So it says here that they've raised $12 million in a SAFT sale, which is SAFT stands for Simple Agreement for Future Tokens. This agreement is basically just a legal document that allows teams to raise with a promise that in the future, they're going to pay out tokens to their investors. So this was, I think this was led by, where was this led by? 1inch round. Okay, it was led by Pantera Capital, who is a pretty old investment fund within crypto. One of the first, I think. They've been around for a while, with participation from Parify Capital, which is a heavy DeFi fund. Blockchain Capital, again, been around for a while. Nima Capital, Spartan Capital Securities, among others as well. So some big names on there that they're raising from. And obviously 1inch is going to have a token coming out soon enough. But yeah, this is a pretty big cash injection, right? $12 million is huge. That's going to give them, they've got a team of 28. That's going to give them a lot of runway now. So cool to see that happening. At the same time, they now have competition as well. There are a bunch of other DEX aggregators out there. So, it remains to be seen how this pans out. I think aggregators are going to become more and more of a hot thing in the future, especially as we have like all these liquidity pools sitting on Ethereum that, people want to aggregate that, right? You can get the best price by aggregating it. So curious to see how this plays out. And full disclosure, I am an investor in a competitor to 1inch, I guess you could call them, which Dex.ag, which is now called Slingshot. I'm an investor in that, so just full disclosure there. But again, I don't think there's any winners yet. I think there's just tons of competition now. I use one, I tend to use whatever kind of aggregator that I get the best price on. So, yeah, and I've been using 1inch for a long time as well. They've been around for ages. And, I really liked recently they actually refreshed their front end for those who haven't seen it. If I go to 1inch here, just quickly to show those viewing, once it loads up, I think. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So this used to be totally different, this interface here, and it's much nicer now. So, obviously they're gearing up to professionalize more with this new money. I'm curious to see what other features they have coming. But yeah, congrats to the team on raising that money there. Quick announcement from Andre yesterday. So Andre's Keeper network, which I've spoken about before, has basically it allows it's trying to decentralize Keeper functions. Now, for those who don't know what Keeper functions are, it's basically hitting different functions on smart contracts to do different things. So doing a function to liquidate someone's position on Compound is something that a Keeper would do, for example. So just a very basic example, but these functions are everywhere and they do require manual calling on the smart contract. Anyone can call them, but it requires you to do it manually. So this post from Andre basically announced that they're going to be scaling Keeper using Chainlink's oracles. Andre has not been shy about his fanaticism not fanaticism, but like he's a fan of Chainlink's kind of infrastructure and their oracles. They're highly secure, always available and fault tolerant, as he kind of describes here. So yeah, he's going to be using that within Keeper to scale it up and scale up their operations. The blog post I'll link in the show notes. Of course, you can go give it a read. But I just wanted to make a quick note about that one as well, which looks to be pretty cool. All right, on to, I guess there's two big pieces of news I'm going to discuss today. This is the first bit. So Visa is kind of partnering up with USDC or Center or Circle, the issuer of USDC, to basically do a variety of things, I think. I don't think it goes into too much detail about what they're going to be doing, but I think they're going to be working with USDC to do a bunch of different things with on Ethereum, right? Because USDC is on Ethereum. So I think this is part of their innovation arm at Visa. I think they want to try and get ahead of, what this kind of stablecoin ecosystem is doing and growing into. I'm not, sure where this is going to go. You can basically, if Visa wants to, make this really big, they could basically say anyone with a Visa card can spend USDC, right? That's just huge. And, they could do that from their private database, for example. They don't even have to use the Ethereum blockchain to do this because, obviously the transaction fees are high. They can basically just have USDC in a bank account. Sorry, not in a bank account, in their database as like an entry in their own Ethereum account, and then they can just let you spend it on like your Visa card and just transfer it between merchants and things like that. And obviously they can do it on the Ethereum chain as well and move coins around. So pretty big news. It's a pretty kind of lengthy post here, so I'm gonna link that so you can go read it. Obviously, I'm not gonna read it on the video here, but yeah, that was the I guess I think I would call it the second biggest news got to do with stablecoins. The first piece of biggest news was that there's some new legislation that has been kind of published, a new bill by some lawmakers in the US that aims to basically require stablecoin issuers to secure bank charters and either obtain FDIC insurance or maintain full reserves to operate in the US. This is some heavy-handed regulation, that's for sure. And from the comments that we saw on Twitter today, which I'll go through soon, from the people who proposed this bill and from the people who supported it, they do not understand Ethereum. They do not understand stablecoins. This, to me, and I made a tweet about it here, is all Zuck's fault. So Mark Zuckerberg, because what Facebook did, as everyone knows, is they introduced Libra like a few months ago, right? And that caught regulators' attention. They didn't like it. They're like, what the hell are you guys doing? Like, what is Facebook doing? Are you trying to issue your own currency? When, they're obviously issuing a stablecoin pegged to the US dollar, but they could maybe issue their own currency down the line. So that's why regulators are now laser focused on this. If I was to bet all of the representatives here and the people involved with the bill, if I was to ask them, how does make a DAI work, for example, I don't think I'd be able to get an answer out of pretty much a majority of them. If I had to ask them to name all the stablecoins on Ethereum, they could probably only name USDC and Libra, for example, the most popular ones, and maybe Tether. So there was a lot of heated debate around this on Twitter today. You can see here this assistant professor, Rohan Gray, he, to his credit, he was replying to people, but man, he had some really poor takes on this. So he starts this thread on Twitter off where basically this is in the middle of a thread. There's a lot going on here. I'll link it so you can go check it out yourself. But basically, he's asked the question, how do you intend to police nearly 9,000 globally dispersed Ethereum nodes that don't have the capacity to selectively identify and filter illegal contracts? Because the context is that he was saying that, people running these smart contracts illegally that don't have FDIC insurance and aren't registered or whatever with the legal system, we're going to regulate that. And then Rohan goes on to say there's a simple solution to this. The nodes just can choose to not validate blocks that contain deposit contracts. And he was kind of, I think he was kind of referring to, I don't know what he was referring to with deposit contracts here, but it was just like a weird comment. And then Jacob Franek here kind of said that this would be equivalent to holding all ISPs liable for all activity happening on the internet. It's dangerously broad and displays a profound lack of understanding of how the technology works. Please educate yourself. This does, right? You can't, a full node by definition cannot selectively filter what it wants to verify, right? You can't just say, hey, I don't want to verify this transaction here, ignore it, whatever. That's not how it works, right? Miners, if they colluded, could do this, right? And this is where kind of 51% attacks come into it. But that's a whole other kettle of fish, right? That's got nothing to do with this. So basically the point here is that this is unenforceable. This is a regulation. If it goes through and goes into law, it's completely unenforceable. It would force all of the companies in the US that are building protocols that have to abide by these rules to just leave the US. I don't see a universe, why they would actually stay in the US, once this goes through. It stifles so much innovation, and then Rohan goes on to say, no, he's disagreeing with Jacob's comment here, and he says, no, it's holding actors who engage in banking liable for engaging in banking, which is beyond silly, right? Like, people running full nodes are not engaging in banking. They have no control over what goes through their full node. The network is neutral, right? Anyone from anywhere can send transactions, and it could be for whatever purpose. I can send a transaction to buy drugs if I want to. Not that I'm doing that, but I could do that, right? no one can stop me. If I'm using a decentralized asset, no one can stop me from doing that. And in the same vein, I can purchase something legal as well using a stablecoin or any other token on Ethereum. So again, Jacob goes on, and I mean, the ratios here are just incredible, right? For those who don't know, a ratio is when your comment gets more likes than the one you're replying to. So Rohan's comment got 0 likes, Jacob's got 68. So that's a pretty epic ratio, right? And then this conversation goes on for a while. It's really weird. DC Investor says here, it's like, it's a global network. Are you trying to regulate everyone? How can you? Like, the US doesn't have legal reach in every single jurisdiction, right? Yes, it does in some others that aren't the US because they're allied, but good luck, getting China to listen to the US, right? If someone's running an Ethereum full node in China or in Russia or something like that. So yeah, generally this is just so unenforceable, right? And there's some other silly kind of logic behind this as well. So the congresswoman who's leading this charge, Rashida Tlaib, I think that's how you say her last name, was basically saying that they're doing this as well to basically prevent cryptocurrency providers from repeating the crimes against low and moderate income residents of color traditional big banks have. Have kind of like done these crimes against them, basically disenfranchised them from using stablecoins. And then Chainlink God ratios the hell out of her here by saying, how exactly have stablecoins disenfranchised low-income people or people of color? In fact, they've done the exact opposite by providing equal access to financial services regardless of who you are. This bill will do exactly the opposite of what you're saying it will. Please educate yourself. I just love the last thing there, please educate yourself, right? It's just repeating the pattern. But he's exactly right. Like, what this is such a mind-boggling thing for me, because basically what the congresswoman is saying is that blockchains can be racist, right? Or people who kind of like issue stablecoins can be racist. Like, but how, right? I could be, not. I mean, I'm obviously white, right? But I could just as easily be another race, and you would have no idea, because my Ethereum address is not tied to my real life identity unless I somehow dox myself. I can do it anonymously, right? And not just on that front, like, why would these stablecoin issuers do this, right? It's just bad. Not only is it bad business, but it's just like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm actually you can probably hear it in my voice, I'm struggling to kind of reason about this at all, because it's so insane that someone would actually use this as a reason for regulating stablecoin issuers. The fact that they're saying that, we're going to repeat the same crimes that banks have. Are you serious? Like, what we're building here is bankless technology. This doesn't require a bank. It's decentralized. No one can control it, right? If you're using the right assets. Obviously, if you're using USDC, you're under the purview of Coinbase and Circle and all that. But again, Coinbase and Circle aren't monitoring the blockchain, tying people's Ethereum addresses to their identity, and then saying, oh, this person is, this race. We're not going to let them use USDC anymore, right? That hasn't happened. I highly doubt that's ever going to happen. It's just so insanely just dumb, right? If I'm being honest. So, maybe enough on that one. I don't know what's going on here. I mean, it's funny because my evolution through the political kind of spectrum has been funny over the years as I've been more in crypto. I used to be what you could call hardcore left, right? I was all for like, regulate everything. It's great. People can't be trusted, whatever. But, that was maybe when I was in my younger years and I was less mature than I am today. But the more I see of these like really dumb financial regulations, because it's particularly in the financial space, the more I just, I go towards the center, right, of the political spectrum. And the more I believe that like most financial regulations are just complete crap, right? It's just a way to control people because it doesn't protect anyone, right? What did the financial regulations protect against in 2008 in that crash, right? I'm not going to go into a whole kind of tirade about this, but this is what cryptocurrency is built on. The fundamental things is that we can't trust the banks. We can't trust the governments. They're not doing what's in our best interest. We're just going to go around you, right? And, if this, I highly doubt this bill goes into law, but if it did, good luck. Good luck enforcing this. It's like trying to enforce copyright infringement. It's just not going to happen. It's unenforceable fundamentally. So yeah, for those of you who saw this on Twitter today, I would just say that there's not much to worry about here. I really don't think this is going to go through, but just be aware that there are people in power who hold these insane views and who think maybe they think they're doing the right thing, but they're uneducated. It's our job to educate them, of course, but some of them don't want to be educated. Some of them just want to push through what they think is the right thing to do. And as I say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? So we'll be keeping an eye on this. I'll be keeping an eye on this. I think following regulations around DeFi in general is probably a good use of your time because some of these are going to get through. Some of these regulations are going to get through and they're going to be heavy-handed. We're going to have to deal with them. You know, the prices of certain assets might crash because of it. People will leave their country because of it. It's going to get gnarly, right? It's going to get ugly over the next couple of decades, I reckon, because we are fundamentally disrupting all these institutions and in a decentralized way. And we've seen what happens when you do that, right? People do not like that. The incumbents do not like that. Copyright, what happened with the internet is that it allowed media to be downloaded by anyone. The people at the top hated that, right? The people in the media companies absolutely hated that. So they tried to fight against it. And they've kind of like done so to an extent. But yeah, I think this is bigger than that because it involves money. And anything that involves money is going to be, it's going to be ugly when you try to regulate it. So I'll keep you guys updated on how this goes. I don't know if we'll hear too much about it going forward. Government moves slow and everything, of course. But yeah, I'll keep you updated on it. And there's a few other threads from like lawyers and things like that as well that I wanted to point out quickly. From Ruben here, he basically kind of says that the Stable Act, which is the name of the bill, is a confused attempt at regulating perceived harms that are not actually caused by the technology, but are ironically inherent in the existing financial systems that current crypto currencies are designed to replace. That was exactly what I was just saying, right? It's just like, it's not protecting anyone. It's not doing anything good for anyone. It is just doing the opposite of that. So go read Ruben's thread here. He gives more color. I'm not going to read the whole thread, of course, but yeah, it's great to see him chiming in here. Lastly here, if you want to support the fight against this in the US, Coin Center is who you should donate to. So you can go to, coincenter.org/donate. You can donate whatever you want in BTC or ETH or other cryptocurrencies or via credit card. And these guys will do the fighting on your behalf. They are mainly focused on Bitcoin because that's what regulators are kind of like looking at, because obviously they don't have time to dive into the nitty gritty of things, but I've seen them pay more attention to stablecoins and DeFi in general, because that's another thing that's fundamentally disruptive and that the policymakers are going to have their eyes on. So Coin Center is like a think tank that aims to educate these policymakers and make sure none of this bad regulation gets through. So I highly recommend donating to Coin Center if you haven't already. All right, that's it for this one, everyone. A little bit of drama in today's update, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes in crypto. I hope that you are all up to date now with everything that happened and a little bit less confused maybe about it. I'll link everything in the show notes and the YouTube description for you to go check out. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the daily newsletter, of course. And don't forget to donate to Gitcoin grants. Any of the grants that you want to donate to, the easiest way to support me, of course, is on Gitcoin grants at the Daily Gwei and at ETHUB. And yeah, I will see everyone tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.